Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. This is your Week 13 recap, and this is RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Chiefs and the NFL because it's all about the NFL coming up here quick as they approach the playoff run. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click the like and the sub and the bell notification so you get all the updates when we put out new content, and we're always doing that. There's this today. If you missed the live streams, there's one post-game. There's one on Monday nights where we do the Q&A for all of your questions. Then Dan has film midweek. I have film after that. Jeff Porter's going to give you some important information on a stat of the week. We have the game plan video leading into the weekend, and then we have your tailgate content from Danilo. The team here at RGR, we are putting it out. Today, we're going to take a look at that Sunday night football game that the Chiefs played against the Broncos, one that infuriated a lot of the fan base, and I can understand a lot of it. We're going to take a look at what the numbers actually reveal. Despite being situationally frustrating football, there are some big takeaways on both the positive and a little bit on the negative side as well. And you guys know what's coming first, and it's a look at how the offense performed. That comes down to one thing first and foremost, and it is how many yards they're producing per play average. This is a very good stat. This is just a slight pull-off at 0.4, lower than the previous week. 7.1 yards per play. That is cooking. And we've seen a steady inclination for them. In fact, in the next week or two, I'll start to put together that's trending data for what they've done throughout the season. And the visuals there will be very intriguing as well. But this is a good output. This is quality football that's moving the ball. Yes, there are issues in the red zone stuff. We'll talk about that coming up. But being able to move between the 20s is the first part of getting yourself into the end zone. We've seen them do that consistently, and this was no different. That's why this number 0.04 is not red. It's because it's just a slight fall off. It's still an excellent number, tops of the league, and that actually propels them forward to next week. Now, that said, there were opportunities, and then there were opportunities. The first being that you got 10 drives out of this contest. That's significant. Unfortunately, while you scored 60% of them, which is usually the mark that we want to track, how efficient are you on a per drive basis? Obviously, every drive is different situationally. You start in different positions on the field, and so there's a lot that goes into that. But generally, you're trying to push for what is an above average, and the Chiefs' average this year is 53% on the average. That is third in the league. What they did this particular drive was they bounced back from what was a poor outing last time, got back up to 60. That's a plus 15 for the week to week, but unfortunately, they didn't punch it in enough. The field goals, the one touchdown, this is what leads to being a kind of ho-hum. This is a break-even stat for this week, week 13 against the Broncos, because you got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, and that's the way that it goes. What you didn't get is quite as much output from your rookie class. 139, that's still a healthy contribution, but it's not what it was. And that's down nearly 40 at a minus 39 from the week previous. That's okay. You're still getting contribution across the board, but it was definitely down. What the yellow gold color here versus the red shows you is that gold is the special teams and offensive contribution. Red is all the defense. And so that's what you can see is where those snaps are showing up. Now, this was obviously affected by Clyde Edwards-Helaire having a stomach bug, being out, not being able to carry the ball. That has an effect. You got a little bit of special teams work, obviously, but the bulk of it came on defense. And that's okay, because as the cap come down next year, you want to get the rookies continual snaps. And now that LJ Snead is back, we see Willie Gay getting some solid snaps. We're seeing what they need to see in order to get them prepared, not only for the postseason run, but definitely for next season when there will be some changes to this roster. This is an important investment in time for the rookies. Now, the pressure rate is one that's been talked about quite a bit. In fact, I'll have something specifically on Frank Clark here later in the week. I want you to know that it seems abysmal, the 13 pressures that they got this week. It's up against a whole lot less dropbacks, though. Against Tampa Bay, they had the same 13 pressures, same number of actual pressures, but it was on 13 more dropbacks. So percentage-wise, the amount that you're getting there versus how many times they're dropping back actually increased quite substantially, plus 13%, up to 45%. And you're looking for a 50-50 kind of split. That's about a touch above average in terms of your pass rush producing pressure. Now, didn't get enough hits and sacks, clearly, but you want to see that number start to come up. I felt like in the way that they played, the defensive front actually put up more power, put out more effort. They're just not getting there. We're going to see what happens this next week, particularly for Frank and Chris Jones as well. One thing that they slid backwards on, and this was frustrating. You guys saw that happen at inopportune times from a number of players. There wasn't one culprit like we've seen in some games in the past. It was kind of spread out all over the place. L'Jarius Sneed missed a tackle. It ended up being a big play, and credit to him, Kenny Hamler's a good route runner. He's a guy that I wanted to see running out of the slot in Kansas City. That didn't happen, but that said, that's one for the last 5 games. You saw one for Juan Thornhill. That's atypical as well. So it all combined to raise the number to 9. That's plus 6 on the week. And that is definitely over where you want to be. If it had been plus 1 or 2, I think they could live with that. Again, the benchmark here, we're looking for 5 or less. So clearly they have some room to improve, and I think that's exactly what they'll do, especially when you look at they have to make up for this next stat, and that is what happened in the red zone. There's a lot of talk about this, and there's a lot of reasons for this. It is a combination of O-line play, of running back play, of play call, etc. It boils down to this. This was a bad outing at home in the red zone. 0 for 4, and a lot's been made of that, as it should be. That is significant. They have to bounce back from that. They have to be able to run with power. I explained it on the Locked On Chiefs podcast this week. Go back and check that out on Tuesday's show. You have to be able to do what's effective and still have a run game. Being in the red zone doesn't mean that you have to plunge into the A-gap. It means that you have to get creative, and I look for them to do that. I look for them to bounce back, get a little bit more creative with their runs specifically, and that should get them out of this doldrums, get away from just trying to run inside all the time, and get more out of it. Because on the whole, this is what's more concerning than just the one game against the Broncos. It's that they are currently ranked 24th in the league in red zone scoring. That's at 57%. That's barely half of the time that you get in the red zone that you actually punch it in and don't have to settle for 3. That's a significant thing that they have to get fixed, especially when you look at all of these weapons. Their way the teams are playing them, especially when they pack in the middle, that you have to take advantage of the edges. I look for them to adapt a little bit more. I'm sure we'll see another Ferrari play out of that permutation, but that's all right. That's one option. You have to come up with some more, and I think this is going to be kind of the wake-up call, I think, for that aspect of the run game, especially what we saw late down the stretch. It can be done. They can find ways to move the ball on the ground, and I think that's going to have to be important. So we'll see when they come up with it. But what stands out to you? What's the most important stat here? Let me know down in the comments, and make sure you click the like and the sub and the bell notification so you know what comes next. I'm looking for your input on what matters the most to you of these, or drop me another stat as well. We'll have more for you tomorrow. We'll have some from Jeff. We'll have another stat from me here later in the week that I think you're going to find interesting. Then we'll have the film reviews as well. So don't miss a thing. This is your hub for Chiefs coverage on YouTube. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll check you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.